Kris Mayes, the Arizona Attorney General who indicted a number of Donald Trump's inner circle following the 2020 election, she's back and she's threatening to sue Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, MAGA Mike Johnson, because he refuses to swear in Representative Adelita Grijalva. She was elected to her late father's seat, 70% in a special election. She represents 813,000 people in the congressional district number 7 in Arizona. And she can't get sworn in because Mike Johnson claims, well, we're in a shutdown, trying to put pressure on the Democrats to have leverage during budget negotiations, obviously, and because of the Epstein scandal. What's Epstein have to do about this? And what type of lawsuit would the Attorney General of Arizona be able to bring in order to force Mike Johnson's hand to swear in Representative Grijalva? And we demand that now as well here on the MeidasTouch Network and Legal AF. Let's get to it. I'm Michael Popok. Kris Mayes, amazing. She was the Secretary of State and now Attorney General for Arizona. She has the power now that the state has completed its canvassing on the special election and delivered a certificate from the governor to the Speaker of the House certifying Adelita Grijalva has been elected to her father's seat. And now it's time for the swearing in. What's warping the decision making? It's not the shutdown, although I think they're trying to get a little bit of leverage on the shutdown. It's because she, Representative Grijalva, has said aloud that she will proudly be the final signature on the discharge petition that's been circulated by Ro Khanna, a Democrat, and Tom Massey, a Republican, and the discharge petition would take out of a committee where it's been blocked by the Republicans a House resolution to the House floor to compel the Department of Justice and the Trump administration and all those others to release the damn Epstein files. They needed 218 votes. She's the 218th vote. We already had another special election. See, special elections matter, where a Democrat was the 217th vote. Now, nobody's buying, and I have the letter here that was sent by Kris Mayes to Representative Johnson just yesterday. It's up on Legal AF Substack for you to read. I'll talk about the mandamus petition that she would file to get Representative Grijalva sworn in. And that's what this is all about. It's about trying to exert pressure on the Democrats to extract something from them in the budget negotiations around the shutdown. Well, you like Representative Grijalva? She may not be around much longer if we don't swear her in, and sets dangerous precedent for the future. 4 or 5 others have been sworn in during what's called the pro forma sessions. Pro forma sessions are being held right now to keep the lights on in Congress with the bare minimum of activity so that the president doesn't have a recess to start making crazy appointments. Even MAGA Congress doesn't want that to happen. So they keep the lights on with these pro formas. And you hear Speaker Johnson say, no, I'll swear her in. It's just that we're shut down. He's sworn in other people during pro forma sessions. He's sworn in 2 other representatives from Florida, particularly when they were in pro forma sessions. So all of these ever-changing, shape-shifting positions of Mike Johnson isn't going over well. Let me read to you from the letter from Kris Mayes, Attorney General of Arizona, in which she cites 2 our founding fathers, including James Madison and Alexander Hamilton. On behalf of the state of Arizona, I demand that the Honorable Adelita Grijalva be sworn into office as the representative for Arizona's 7th Congressional District, representing 813,000 people that have no representation right now. Failing to seat Ms. Grijalva immediately or to otherwise provide a reasonable explanation as to when she will be seated will prompt legal action. That would be a writ of mandamus. We'll talk about that in a minute. The House of Representatives' uniquely democratic function makes frustrating the will of the voters in selecting the representative particularly egregious. A member of the House of Representatives holds the only proportional and directly elected position in the federal government. Citing to the Federalist Papers number 52 and 58, 65, 66, and 81. She goes on and reminds the Speaker of the House, that Jimmy Patronis was elected to the Florida's 1st District. Randy Fine was elected to Florida's 6th District. They're Republicans. They were sworn in during pro forma sessions. In fact, let me take a break from the letter for a minute. Jim Jordan was interviewed by Caitlin Collins and got wrapped around his own axle about why she's not being sworn in. They can't even get their story straight because it's a lie. Let's play Caitlin Collins versus Jim Jordan.
Of House Republicans. You're here on Capitol Hill tonight. A lot of your colleagues are not because you're not in session. And Speaker Johnson has said he's not bringing y'all back until there's an agreement to reopen the government. Is it clear to you why Speaker Johnson has not sworn in the new member, Adelita Grijalva, yet?
Because we're not in session. It's typically done when we're all there. It's a special thing. The individual the new member gives a speech in front of Congress, sworn in by the Speaker of the House, introduced by colleagues from their delegation. That's how I've been here 19 years. It's always been done that way. So that's nothing out of the ordinary. The reason we're not here is because we've done our work. We've passed the bill that funds the government again at the levels Chuck Schumer agreed to, and now he won't support it because this debate is Chuck Schumer can pick common sense or he can pick the left and AOC. And right now he's picking the left and AOC after he picked common sense 6 months ago. Plain and simple, and I think the American people understand that.
So you're saying because it's a pro forma session, that's why?
Yeah, because there's two people on the floor, or whatever. But normally it's done in front of the full House. That new member in a special election gets, I think, in some ways, a kind of a neat experience where they get to talk to the House their first day getting sworn in, and that's happened every single time that I can recall with any new member elected in a special in the middle of a congressional session.
But a couple months ago, he swore in Jimmy Patronis and Randy Fine in a pro forma session.
I actually didn't even know that when they were sworn in, but I always remember when it happens, the delegation's up front and that person is sworn in.
Do you think it has anything to do with the discharge petition and that she could be the 218th signature for the Jeffrey Epstein Files?
I think it's to make the clear point, we have voted to fund the government at levels all the Democrats supported, and they now won't support it because they're bringing up an issue that frankly was not even part of the campaign last year. I don't remember anyone saying, oh my goodness, we got to deal with the enhanced premium tax credit in Obamacare, and if we don't, it wasn't even part of the campaign last year.
You ever scroll the headlines and feel like every push alert just raised your blood pressure? Yeah, same. That's where IndaCloud comes in. IndaCloud is a fully legal online dispensary. No cards, no dispensary runs, no mystery gummies from a friend's cousin. They've already delivered over 10 million gummies, mountains of flour, and enough pre-rolls to get you through another election season. Every product is tested in DEA certified labs and shipped straight to your door discreetly. People I know who use IndaCloud often tell me how it helps them unwind after a long day. One friend describes sitting on the couch, finally letting their brain quiet down at night, just enjoying a moment of calm they hadn't felt in weeks. It's that kind of stress-free vibe that makes IndaCloud so easy to recommend. Looking for better sleep? They got a gummy for that. Need to take the edge off without a hangover? Done. Want something stronger? Check out the Beast Mode collection. Still legal, still tested. That's why more than 50,000 customers already trust IndaCloud to keep their buzz hassle-free. If you're 21 or older, head to indacloud.co. Use code LEGALAF for 30% off your first order plus free shipping. That's indacloud.co, code LEGALAF, 30% off free shipping and less stress delivered to your door. Support the show by filling out their quick survey when you order, and thank IndaCloud for making the news cycle just a little easier to handle. And as always, please enjoy responsibly. You and your staff, according to this letter from Kris Mayes as a prerequisite to filing the lawsuit, you and your staff have provided ever-shifting, unsatisfactory, and sometimes absurd stories as to why Ms. Grijalva has not been sworn in a particularly worrisome comment. An aide connected with the swearing in and made an admission to the ongoing budget fight, suggesting that the House is trying to use Arizona's constitutional right to representation in the House as a bargaining chip. When you make threats like, well, if Chuck Schumer would just reopen the government, we'd be able to swear in. That sounds like you got a deal to make, if you will. Arizona's right to a full delegation and the right of the residents of Congressional District 7 to representation from the person they recently voted for are not up for debate. We thus demand that Ms. Grijalva be immediately sworn into office and admitted to her rightful seat. Should you fail such assurances, we will be forced to seek judicial relief to protect Arizona and the residents of the 7th Congressional District. Representative-elect Grijalva has even taken to the hallways of Congress, marching on Mike Johnson's office. Let's show that clip. Now, what's going to happen in the courts here at the intersection of law and politics? Kris Mayes, who's not shy about going to court, not shy about prosecuting people in Donald Trump's personal life, files what we call a complaint for mandamus, or a writ of mandamus. A mandamus is to get an official, an elected official, or some sort of other officer, force them to do their job, their statutory job. He's got a job to do. It's to swear in on a Bible or not on a Bible Representative Grijalva. That's it. It's a ministerial act. There's no other function that they have to do. They can do it while the lights are on for the pro forma sessions. There's no excuses around it. And that's what the lawsuit will say, that he should be compelled to hold a session immediately and swear her in to take her rightful seat representing 813,000 people of the 7th Congressional District in Arizona. That's it. It's a relatively straightforward case. You file it in federal court. You can file it in Arizona, although I would file it in Washington. Makes it harder for Mike Johnson to argue there's no jurisdiction over him. You get a good federal judge. You get an order of mandamus. You do an order to show cause, or a preliminary injunction or temporary restraining order, or an emergency application, and you get all this done. I don't know when this shutdown's gonna end. Could go 30 days. Democrats are rightly playing hardball in order to win concessions from the Republicans to open the government around health care. Not health care for illegal immigrants and pedophiles, health care for everyday Americans. We're talking about 30 and 40 million Americans who will lose health care and lose Obamacare as a cover. And we'll just be a nation where literally the haves and the have-nots. You either have health insurance because your employer gives it to you or you can afford it, or you go to emergency rooms as a last resort. And you die early, infant mortality rates go up, people die early from preventable illnesses and conditions and diseases. And that's the world that people apparently have voted for when they voted for Donald Trump. I just don't think they voted for that. So we'll continue to follow Arizona's Attorney General Kris Mayes and her threat turned into a lawsuit against the Speaker of the House to get Representative Grijalva sworn in. Swear Grijalva in now. Then she'll be the 218th signature on the discharge petition, and it'll go to a House vote about the release of the Epstein scandal cover-up files. I'll leave you on this. In my neck of the woods and in court, when a person refuses to produce documents like Donald Trump has refused and ordered his people not to produce documents related to Epstein, you are allowed to make an inference, an adverse inference, that what's in those files is bad for the party that's withholding the documents. That's what you would be told in court as a member of the jury, and that's what we should assume as American voters, that things are really bad and awful for Donald Trump in those files. I don't know what's in those files. Photos of Donald Trump with young girls, disgusting emails back and forth between Donald Trump and Epstein, financial relationships tied to girls and that island. We have to make those inferences because Donald Trump has not produced the documents. That's how it would work in a court of law. That's how it works here on MeidasTouch and Legal AF. So until my next report, come on over to Legal AF Substack. Help us there. You can become a paid member, get some amazing content, including this Arizona letter that I just read from, and Legal AF, the YouTube channel. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.